Hey, what's up, guys? This is your lecture for your assignment. I think it's competition and resource availability and competition. Okay. So this is another short video. This week's just full of short videos for you, but I really want to just kind of break it down again. Yesterday, or I'm getting my days mixed up of which assignment is due when, but one of the videos this week we talked about how when the resources go up and the limiting factors go down, the population goes up. So what I mean by that, if there's plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of shelter, plenty of mates, and there's not a lot of things that are harming you, right? So there's not a lot of disease, there's not a lot of predators, then the number of species that can survive goes up, right? And if the number of resources is low, so there's not very much food, there's not very much water, no mates, no shelter, and maybe the limiting factors are higher, like there's more predators, then that means that the population number goes down, right? So resources are things that the species need to survive, and limiting factors are things that would prevent that species from increasing in numbers, right? So predators, disease, invasive species, other things like that. So with this assignment, I want us to think about how this competition really kind of leads to changes in the ecosystem. So like when we're talking about there's more food, right? That means that there's going to be more things that can eat that food, right? So when we think about environments, these aren't closed systems, right? These are not things that have walls around the outside. These are things where animals can come into and they can leave, right? Now, of course, in nature there are, regions that animals tend to exist. You're not going to have a bighorn sheep, just go down and start living in a jungle somewhere, right? They're meant for this environment. They're evolved in this environment. But we have things, that migrate or that will move. And that happens in nature, when the seasons change or when food sources start to change or, plants are dying, things will move to follow the food. And when that happens, that is increasing limiting factors for other species, right? So let's think if there's a bird that lives, in the lower Sierra Nevada mountains, right? Like around us, okay? And there are other birds that live higher in the mountains. And now let's say it snows and those birds start to move down that hillside to where there's not snow, right? Now there are more species that are trying to eat that same amount of food that there was, okay? That would increase the limiting factor, right? Those other species are a limiting factor, and that would also decrease the amount of resources there are, okay? Because now there's more birds trying to eat that food, drink that water, live in those trees, whatever, okay? So while we're thinking about competition, that's just another symbiotic relationship, right? So we've talked about mutualism, where two species benefit each other, commensalism, where one species benefits and the other is neutral. We have parasitism, where one species benefits and one species is harmed. We have predation, where one species is hunting another prey, right? A predator and a prey. And now we're talking about competition, where this can be mistaken for predation because people think competition, they think a fight, right? But like if you're imagining two lions fighting, in Africa, they're fighting over a resource. They're fighting over food, a mate, whatever. They're not fighting to eat each other, right? So that's like a difference between competition and predation. And that example of competition actually is a physical fight, right? But if I'm talking about two plants that are growing next to each other, that's still competition. They're trying to get more resources than the other, but it's not like those plants are going to start fighting each other, right? So when we're thinking about competition, we're just thinking these species, all other species, whatever, they're trying to get their food, their water, their shelter, their mates. They're trying to survive. They're trying to have babies. They're trying to live happily ever after. But the number of resources, the number of limiting factors will greatly affect how many of those things there can be. Okay? Resources go up, limiting factors go down, population's going to go up, right? Resources go down or limiting factor goes up, that population's going to go down. All right, guys? Okay, make it happen. Get your assignments done. Get caught up on everything else. Peace out.